Hello everyone, this is your friend Shinobi Nexus 2.0. Welcome back to the channel. Enjoy the fanfic. And let's begin. Part 6. Can Shikamaru and Choji Koff remain behind while the rest move up to Koff the balcony, Hayate said. Everyone except Shikamaru, Choji and Hayate moved up to the balcony. The Jonin instructors joined their teams on the balcony while the Hokage, Ibiki, Anko and Aruka remained in front of the statue. Asuma-sensei, will they be alright? Naruko asked while looking at Shikamaru and Choji. That's if they even fight. Shikamaru is too lazy to bother and Choji is too gentle and refuses to hurt his friends, Asuma replied, also not sure how this will turn out. You guys ready? Hayate asked looking between Shikamaru and Choji. No, I'm not, Shikamaru replied with a yawn. Okay, Hayate said with a twitch in his eye. This is too troublesome. Come on Choji, let's get this over with, Shikamaru said looking at his best friend. Do I have to do this? Can't I just forfeit? Choji said, whining a bit, not wanting to fight his best friend. Choji, if you forfeit now I will ban you from going to barracks, Asuma shouted out. Asuma-sensei, Choji started speaking. Ey fatso, you going to fight or just sit there getting fatter? Shikamaru asked plainly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Oh boy, Naruko said, knowing what will happen next. What did you call me? Choji asked loudly, taking offense with fires in his eyes. I called you fat, so what you going to do about it? Shikamaru replied while casually picking his nose. Please start the match, Choji said, not taking his eyes off of Shikamaru. Right. Begin, Hayate said while jumping back a bit. I am not fat. I am big-boned, Choji declared while making a hand seal. Ninpo. Baika no Jutsu, Choji called out before his chest and upper legs expanded greatly in size. Zu, Choji said while his arms, legs and head retracted into his body, making him a big round ball. Nikuden Sensha, Choji called out before his body started spinning at a high speed and rolling towards Shikamaru. Shikamaru jumped out the way, letting Choji roll right past him. Choji suddenly turned sharply, surprising a few people, and rolled towards Shikamaru again. Shikamaru barely had time to evade the attack. Shikamaru led Choji so he would roll into a wall while having to dodge the constant attacks. Eventually Shikamaru got where he wanted to be and moved out the way just before Choji reached him. Instead of slamming into the wall, Choji reacted quickly and stopped his spinning while shrinking back to his normal self. Choji swung his feet forward just in time and landed on the wall rather hard, causing him to grunt and his legs to buckle a bit from the impact. Choji quickly recovered and somersaulted off the wall but couldn't move when he landed. Kajmane complete, Shikamaru said while walking to the center of the floor, forcing Choji to mimic his actions. You should give up, Choji, Shikamaru said from behind Choji. Yeah, I give up. Not that I had chance against you, Shikamaru, Choji said, giving up a bit, disappointed with himself. Choji forfeits. Shikamaru wins and advances through to the main event, Hayate declared. Choji and Shikamaru walked up to the balcony and joined their comrades and friends. No hard feelings, Choji, you know I didn't mean what I said, Shikamaru said, feeling a little bad for insulting him. Yay, no hard feelings, Choji said with a smile. Hey Choji, Shikamaru, both of you did great there, Naruko said with a smile after running over to them. Thanks, but I didn't stand a chance against, Choji replied. No Choji, I didn't stand a chance, it's just that your heart and kindness held you back, Shikamaru said while shaking his head. Do you really think that? Choji asked. He is right. You are much stronger than you give yourself credit for, Naruko answered. Thanks you guys, Choji said with a smile. Everyone turned to the board to see who would be next. The screen quickly flipped through the names before coming to a stop and showing the next two names. Kin vs Sasuke. Kin and Sasuke, please make your way down, Hayate said after reading the screen. Sasuke jumped down from the balcony along with Kin. Both Kin and Sasuke had a smirk on their faces. You ready? Hayate asked while looking at Sasuke, who just nodded in return. Are you ready? Hayate asked while looking at Kin. Oh, I'm always ready for pretty boy over here, Kin replied and gave Sasuke a seductive look and pose. Sasuke didn't react to her seduction attempts at all, which made Kin a little mad. What, am I too pretty for you? Kin asked in a sweet voice. I couldn't care less, and besides there is only one person that's beautiful in my eyes, Sasuke replied while looking up to Naruko and making her blush. Her. Please, she isn't half the person I am, Kin said after following Sasuke's gaze and seeing Naruko. Like I said, I couldn't care less what you think, but you shouldn't judge a person by their looks, Sasuke said, unfazed by Kin's remarks. A girl dressing up for you tells me more than enough, Kin said, rolling her eyes after seeing Naruko's ears and tails. This just proves my point. You are quick to judge and label someone, but I don't need to defend her. She is more than capable of doing that on her own, Sasuke responded before looking up to Naruko and giving her a smile and a wink, making Naruko blush a bit harder. Thank you, Sasuke-kun, Naruko thanked mentally. The match begins now, Hayate said, starting the battle. Kin instantly jumped back while throwing a set of senbons at Sasuke. He easily dodged the senbons before charging at Kin and suddenly reappearing right in front of her. Her eyes widened when she suddenly saw Sasuke right in front of her. Sasuke used his left hand to punch Kin in the stomach fairly hard, sending her flying into the wall behind her. A crack in the wall formed when Kin hit the fall before falling onto the ground out cold. Sasuke remained in his punching pose with his left hand extended in front of him. Sasuke was rather surprised by how quickly the fight ended and how weak the girl actually was, or was he just that much stronger than he realized? Wow, Sasuke is a lot faster and stronger than he was before, Ino said with wide eyes. Yay, he is a completely different person, Kiba agreed with amazement. Seems like we got the easy fight, Choji. This just got a whole lot more troublesome, Shikamaru said, also quite surprised by Sasuke's growth. Sasuke is the winner by knockout, Hayate said after checking on Kin to see if she was okay. Sasuke started walking up to the balcony, still quite surprised while wondering how strong he actually is. Yush, Kakashi, you students' flames of youth shine bright, a voice said from behind the group. Everyone turned around and saw a man the same height, if not a bit taller, than Kakashi. The man had black hair and eyes with really thick eyebrows. He was wearing a full green body spandex suit with a green Konoha Chunin utility jacket. He had an orange strip cloth around the bottom of his legs that reach up to the bottom of his knees and blue shinobi sandals. This strange man had a wide smile showing his shiny white teeth. Naruko and Sakura thought that Lee had suddenly grown taller. Though that thought changed when they saw Lee, Neji and Tenten behind the taller Lee clone. Kakashi turned his head to the side to look at the strange green man. Did you say something? Kakashi asked with a dead tone. Gah, Kakashi, you and your attitude, the man said while tears came pouring out of eyes. Kakashi-sensei, who is this weird person? Sakura asked, fairly freaked out by this weirdo. Why, my youthful comrade, I am Kakashi's eternal rival and Konoha no Kedakaki Aoi Moju, Maida Guy. The person now known as Guy exclaimed with a big smile while holding his thumb up. So you are the two people I see every morning running around the village, Naruko said while looking between Guy and Lee. Yes, that is us, you see, Naruko-san. We have also seen you training every morning. You should join us, Lee said while walking up to Naruko. I would love to join you guys, Naruko said happily. Tenten would have normally advised against this but didn't, as she was a bit scared of Naruko. Yush, your flames of youth burn bright, Guy said while holding up his thumb again. Sasuke-kun, Naruko said while hugging and giving Sasuke a kiss when he got there. Sasuke was suddenly brought back to reality only to get a hug and a kiss from someone. He quickly realized who it was before welcoming the kiss and returning the hug. Sakura, Hinata and Tenten blushed when they saw Naruko kissing Sasuke while Ino was getting jealous again. Well done Sasuke-kun, you really showed her, Naruko said with a smile. Yeah, I did. I'm quite surprised. I thought she would put up more of a fight, Sasuke said, still not quite believing it. Well, that's Sasuke-kun for you. No doubt the strongest genin here, Ino said, still being a fangirl when it comes to Sasuke. Sorry to burst your bubble here, Ino, but I am not the strongest. Naruko is much stronger than I am. I don't come anywhere near Naruko's level, Sasuke said while shaking his head. Sasuke-kun, you are just being modest, Ino said, not believing that Naruko is that strong. No, I'm not. I have yet to even come close to beating Naruko in a spar, Sasuke said, shaking his head again. This got Lee's hopes right up while Neji was curious by what Sasuke had said. Ino didn't say anything after hearing that while taking glances at Naruko while Tenten wondered how strong Naruko truly is, which only made her fear Naruko more. The fear in Tenten's eyes didn't go unnoticed by Naruko, but before she could say anything or even think about it, the screen started flipping through a bunch of names which got everyone's attention. The screen then stopped at the next set of names. Neji vs Masumi. Neji and Masumi, please make your way down, Hayate announced while looking up towards the balcony. Both Masumi and Neji made their way down to the arena. Masumi didn't look like much and had a mask that covered his face, leaving his eyes visible. Masumi shifted his glasses up a bit when he got to the bottom of the stairs. Neji and Masumi stood facing each other a few meters apart while staring at each other with a hard glare. You ready? Hayate asked, to which both nodded. Begin, Hayate said after seeing the two nod. Masumi charged at Neji right after Hayate had said begin. When Masumi reached Neji, he threw a left punch towards Neji's face, which was easily deflected by Neji. Masumi threw a few more punches, but all were easily deflected before he was struck in the chest. Masumi jumped back, feeling that the hit did more damage than it should have. That was just a weak attack. I'd suggest you give up if that is all you can do, Neji said emotionlessly. Masumi only responded by heading back in and throwing another punch at Neji, which was easily deflected again. What happened next caught Neji off guard and confused him a bit. Masumi stretched and slithered around him and his limbs several times. Neji found himself unable to move due to Masumi stretching his limbs and body to unnatural length. My body has been altered so I can fit into any space. I can keep squeezing until your bones break. I suggest you give up, Masumi explained while squeezing a bit tighter. It is you that should give up, Neji said while remaining calm. You're in no position to give demands. You could really die here, Masumi warned. I warned you, Neji said before closing his eyes. Neji concentrated before expelling chakra all throughout his body. Masumi was hit by the burst of chakra, and due to the close contact and amount of chakra, it instantly killed him. Masumi's grip loosened before he slumped down to the ground. Hayate appeared next to Masumi and tried to feel for a pulse only to find none. Masumi has been killed. Neji advances to the main event, Hayate said, standing before shaking his head while Neji headed up to the balcony. Surely he must know what a Hyuga can do, Hayate said softly, knowing that taijutsu against a Hyuga is a death wish. Kakashi-sensei, what happened? Sakura asked, not sure as to what happened. Normally he would release a small amount of chakra from his palms when he strikes a target, but this time he instead released chakra throughout body, which is what killed him, Kakashi explained. Why would that kill someone? Sakura asked. That is because Neji forced his own chakra into Masumi's chakra network, which disrupts and damages his network system. As the chakra coils are intertwined with one's organs, an attack on one's chakra network is almost always lethal, Kakashi explained. But how can he attack his chakra network when you can't see where it is? Sakura asked, intrigued by this. The Byakugan allows a Hyuga to see the chakra pathways and tenketsu located throughout the body. The Hyuga use this ability to attack the chakra network and tenketsu directly and accurately. Their fighting style is known as the Juken style, Kakashi explained. The inside of one's body is the most vulnerable as you can't train the inside of your body, Naruko said, fully realizing how deadly a Hyuga can truly be. Correct, Naru-chan. This is why the Hyugas are known for their taijutsu and why a taijutsu fight against them is suicide, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Everyone's attention was brought back to the screen when it started its routine to select the next two contestants. After a few seconds, the screen stopped, making Naruko perk up at the next battle. Gaara vs Yoroi. Please make your way down to the arena, Hayate called out loudly. Gaara wasted no time and dissolved into sand before reforming near Hayate. Naruko mumbled something about Gaara showing off and that she can also do that. Yoroi jumped down, also not wanting to waste time. A bit of a show-off, are we? No matter, I will put you in your place, Yoroi said with a smirk. Gaara didn't respond and remained looking at Yoroi with an emotionless expression on his face. Yoroi gritted his teeth, annoyed at the lack of response. Hayate exchanged looks between Gaara and Yoroi before starting the match. Begin. Hayate called out while jumping back, giving them space to fight. Yoroi ran towards Gaara at a medium speed that everyone could keep up with. When Yoroi reached Gaara, he threw a punch which was blocked by a small wall of sand, surprising Yoroi. Yoroi jumped back a bit before going back in and sending punches and kicks Gaara's way. Each punch and kick was blocked by sand that seemed to act on its own. Yoroi tried to attack Gaara from behind, but the sand blocked his attacks again without Gaara having to turn and face him. What the? How can he block attacks like that? Sakura asked, seeing Gaara block attacks without having to look. His sand has a will of its own. Whether he wills it or not, his sand blocks all attacks, Kankuro said while he and Temari walked up to them. That means, Sakura said with her eyes going wide. Yes, all attacks are ineffective against him, Kankuro said, nodding his head. Yes, that may be true, but I already see two weaknesses here, Naruko said while watching Yoroi failing to land an attack. 2. Temari asked with wide eyes. I don't understand, I haven't seen anyone that can lay a hand on Gaara, Kankuro said, confused. Orochimaru managed to, Naruko said, making Team 7 along with Kankuro and Temari's eyes go wide, remembering that Orochimaru had being able to inject Gaara with a drug of some sorts. I don't see what weaknesses a jutsu like this can have, Ino said, not being able to see what Naruko was seeing. I won't say what they are, it will be unfair for Gaara and you should discover them for yourself, Naruko said while shaking her head. Ah, please, Naruko. Ino asked, dragging out each syllable of Naruko's name. Sorry, Ino. If I tell you his weakness, it might harm your chance of becoming a Chunin, and this is a tournament and would be unfair for Gaara as this is a place where you can test your current abilities. If you can't understand this, then you have much to improve, Naruko said while turning to face Ino. She already understands the whole point of this exam. You might just become a Chunin, Naruko, Kakashi with an eye smile, feeling proud of Naruko. Back with Gaara and Yoroi. Yoroi had spent the past 5 minutes trying to get past Gaara's defense. Gaara was now very bored of this fight and decided to just end it. He raised his hand, making his sand shoot out towards the charging Yoroi. Yoroi couldn't react fast enough and found himself completely covered with sand, only leaving his face visible. Give up. You cannot escape this, Gaara said in an emotionless tone. Kankuro and Temari were a bit surprised as Gaara would normally just kill them without saying anything. Yoroi struggled and struggled, trying to free himself. Your struggling is futile. You have no way out of this. I suggest to give up, Gaara said while making his sand squeeze Yoroi tighter. Yoroi gritted his teeth in pain but refused to give in and continued to struggle, trying to free himself. Gaara just shook his head before slowly increasing the pressure, making Yoroi scream in pain. Give up if you don't want to die, Gaara said, seeing Yoroi continue to struggle, and Hayate considered ending the match himself. Gaara increased the pressure again, making Yoroi's screams increase in volume. Yoroi is unable to escape. Gaara wins and advances to the main event. Hayate said, ending the match, seeing no point in it continuing. Gaara released his sand and dropped Yoroi down onto the ground. Yoroi passed out before he hit the ground. Gaara used a sand shunshin and reappeared next to Kankuro and Temari. Well done, Gaara, Naruko said with a smile while her tail slowly waved from side to side. Gaara just nodded in return with a small smile of his own. Everyone turned to the screen, watching it spin through the names for a few seconds before coming to a stop and landing on the next two names. Zaku vs Sakura. Please make your way down to the arena, Hayate announced. Sakura was very nervous for her fight, as she didn't know what to expect and didn't want to disappoint her teammates. Naruko saw this and placed a hand on her shoulder and gave it a reassuring squeeze. Sakura turned her head and saw Naruko with a smile on her face. Sakura, don't worry, give it your all and you will be fine, I know you will. Just relax and forget what others think, Naruko said, trying to reassure Sakura and giving her a few tips. Sakura, you will be fine, you are much stronger than you realize, Sasuke said with a smile, all trying to reassure Sakura. Thank you, you guys, Sakura said with a smile, feeling really happy, while Kakashi eyes smiled, feeling really proud of his team. Sakura walked down and saw Zaku waiting impatiently for her. Sakura stopped a few meters in front of Zaku and waited for the match to start. Does Miss Crybaby need some comforting from her team? Zaku mocked before laughing out loud. Sakura just frowned before getting into a basic stance and stared intently at Zaku. Zaku laughed before getting into a stance himself. Naruko wasn't too pleased with Zaku mocking Sakura but held back for Sakura's sake. Begin, Hayate said, seeing the two already in their battle stances. Zankaha. Zaku instantly called out while he brought both of his hands up and shot a gush of wind towards Sakura. Sakura held her hands in front of her face to block the attack. The attack pushed Sakura back a few inches and cut her several times on her forearm. Sakura grunted and gritted her teeth before lowering her arms slightly so she could get her sights on Zaku. So you survived that, let's see if you survive this. Zaku mocked before sending another gush of wind at Sakura. Sakura wasn't going to take his mocking any longer and easily dodged the attack, surprising Zaku. Out of anger, Zaku sent several gushes of wind to Sakura and continued to send more. She effortlessly dodged the attacks while continuing to evade them. Sakura made no effort to go on the offensive and waited out a bit to see how long Zaku could keep this up. She was quite surprised at how she could effortlessly dodge the attacks. After a few minutes, Zaku did start to get tired from constantly attacking and failing to hit Sakura. Sakura noticed that Zaku's attack rate slowed down tremendously and his movements were getting sluggish. She suddenly went on the offensive and quickly closed the distance between her and Zaku. Zaku was very surprised by Sakura almost instantly appearing in front of him. When Sakura reached Zaku, she went all out and punched him in the chest as hard as she could. Her fist connected with Zaku's chest and a sickening crunch and crack could be heard throughout the arena. Everyone cringed at the sound while Zaku was sent flying to the wall behind him. When Zaku hit the wall, he coughed up blood while his eyes widened while a hole was created from the impact. He remained in the wall with his eyes and mouth wide open, completely still. Sakura looked at Zaku with wide shaking eyes while trembling slightly. Hayate quickly approached Zaku and saw that it was clear as day that he didn't need to check of a pulse as Zaku remained motionless in the wall with no light behind his open eyes. Hayate shook his head at Zaku before signaling for medics. There is no way this kid survived that attack. His chest is completely crushed and no doubt died shortly after hitting the wall, Hayate though while looking at the lifeless Zaku. Zaku is dead. Sakura advances to the main event, Hayate announced just loud enough for everyone to hear. Sakura fell to her knees before she bent over and emptied her stomach's contents. She remained on her hand and knees while her eyes were wide open, replaying what just happened in her mind. Naruko instantly reappeared next Sakura along with Kakashi. Naruko brought Sakura into tight hug and wrapped her tails around Sakura while trying to calm her down. She could feel Sakura shaking badly in her arms and was able to hear Sakura whimpering softly. Kakashi placed a hand on Sakura also trying to calm her down. Naruko used a shunshin along with Kakashi and reappeared on the balcony while she kept embracing Sakura and tried to calm her down. Shish. It's okay Sakura, it's okay. Shish. I'm here, Naruko said softly trying to comfort Sakura who was crying softly into Naruko's shoulder. Sasuke and the rest of the Rookie 9 ran to Sakura to which Kakashi only let Sasuke get close and kept the rest back including Ino. Naruko sat down with Sakura on her lap facing towards her and still had her tails wrapped protectively around Sakura. HMMPH, pathetic. A weakling like her has no place here. Fate would have her suffer and cry like the weakling she is, Neji scoffed. Naruko's eyes turned blood red and sent a cold hard stare to Neji while releasing her and Kurama's killing intent. Neji buckled and started sweating from the amount of killing intent Naruko sent his way. Fellow comrade or not, you will watch your tongue. If you even think of laying a hand on her or any one of my friends, nothing in this world or any world will save you from my wrath, Naruko growled in a low cold demonic voice that made Neji start to sweat furiously. Neji-san, I suggest you leave now, Kakashi said with an eye smile and in a happy tone which Neji mistook for friendliness. Guy got in front of Neji and moved him along to the other side of the balcony as he has only seen Kakashi like this a few times and knew he was anything but happy. The rest of the Rookie 9 made a mental note not to get on Naruko's bad side ever. Temari vs Dosu. Please make cough your way to the arena, Hayate announced, bringing everyone's attention. Both Temari and Dosu jumped down and stared each other down. Temari had a smirk on her face as she was excited and more than ready for this fight. Ever since Naruko defeated Shukaku and discovered the weights Team 7 used, she upped her training and started training with extra weights. Are both of you ready? Hayate asked a rather pointless question in Temari's opinion. Both of them nodded while Temari lifted her large fan and got in a stance. Begin, Hayate declared, starting the match. Temari jumped back, gaining distance from Dosu before opening her fan so one star was visible. Temari started waving her fan, sending bullets of air straight for Dosu. He dodged the bullets of air and closed the distance between him and Temari. When Dosu got close, Temari closed her fan and swung it, aiming to hit him in the head. Dosu ducked underneath the fan while Temari used the momentum to spin around with the fan, bringing it back around. Dosu brought his left arm up and used the strange tool on his hand to block the attack. Dosu quickly regretted this decision when fan connected. The force of the impact sent Dosu skidding back several meters back and flinched in pain when he lost control of his arm and it flopped down while blood started pouring out of his arm. Dosu gritted his teeth in pain as knew that his arm was broken and possibly even shattered. He kneeled down on one knee while holding his arm that was in great pain. I'm surprised you still have an arm after block an attack from my fan. I guess that thing on your arm protected you somewhat, Temari said with a grin. Gah, damn you, Dosu said while charging back in recklessly. Temari jumped up and spun while extending her left foot when Dosu reached her. Temari's foot connect with Dosu's face, sending him flying, forcing Hayate to move out the way. Dosu landed on the ground before skidding and coming to a stop in front of Anko. Hayate appeared by Dosu and saw that he was alive but unconscious. Dosu has been defeated. Temari advances to the main event, Hayate said, to which Temari grinned before walking up to the balcony. Temari walked past Naruko and Sakura and gave a small smile knowing what it's like to experience one's first kill. Naruko had managed to calm Sakura down, but Sakura still trembled occasionally. The screen rolled through the next set of names for a few seconds before coming to a stop, which made Naruko sigh. Naruko vs 1010. Please make your way down to the arena, Hayate said loud enough for all to hear. Naruko reluctantly unwrapped her tails that were around Sakura and stood up, still holding Sakura. Sakura let go of Naruko and gave her a warm smile. Naruko jumped down from the balcony while Sakura slowly made her way to the edge to watch the match. 1010 jumped down and slowly made her way to the center before stopping several meters in front of Naruko. Naruko could see fear in 1010's eyes and knew that the fear was directed at her. Naruko's tails and ears dropped, feeling a bit sad. You're afraid of me. I can see it in your eyes, Naruko said loud enough for only 1010 and Hayate to hear. Is it what I said to Neji? Naruko asked, wanting to know why 1010 feared her. No, but that didn't help, 1010 replied with a bit of fear in her voice. No. Then why are you afraid? Naruko asked. I wasn't at first, but that stunt you pulled before the exam, you really did scare a lot of us there, 1010 answered. I see. Sorry about that. I'm just very protective over the small amount of friends I have, Naruko said with a small smile. Well, it's no wonder you have so few friends if you go around doing that, 1010 asked, relaxing a bit at the small warm smile on Naruko's face. Maybe now yes, but it's mostly, always because of another reason, Naruko said with sadness. 1010 could see the sadness in her eyes and regretted what she had just said. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for scaring you like that, Naruko apologized while bowing towards 1010. 1010 was quite surprised by this. She honestly didn't know what to expect from Naruko, but this wasn't one of them. Fight me with all you got and we will call it even, 1010 said with a smile. I don't think that's a good idea, but I will respect your wish, Naruko said, standing up straight. Naruko would fight hard but not at full strength, as she might end up hurting 1010 or even killing her. Begin, Hayate said after seeing the two get into their respective stances. 1010 began immediately by pulling out a scroll and opening it. She started throwing at Naruko a volley of weapons that were sealed in the scroll. Naruko easily dodged the weapons, weaving in and out fluently, showing off her agility and flexibility. When her scroll was empty, 1010 took out another 2 scrolls before repeating the process of emptying the scroll's contents and throwing them at Naruko. Naruko was a bit surprised by the amount that 1010 was throwing at her and was surprised by the accuracy of them. Naruko continued to effortlessly evade the weapons being thrown at her while occasionally using a tail to knock a few weapons away from her. 1010, seeing that throwing weapons at Naruko was pointless, and changed tactics by unsealing a bow and charging towards Naruko. When 1010 reached Naruko, she attacked Naruko with a fluent combo of jabs, swipes, swings and strikes. Naruko really showed off her agility and flexibility by weaving, bending and jumping to avoid 1010's vicious attacks. You are holding back, fight me, seriously, 1010 said in between her attacks, getting annoyed that Naruko was clearly holding back. Suddenly Naruko allowed the bow to hit her before disappearing in a puff of smoke, surprising 1010 enough to stop her dead in her tracks. 1010 suddenly felt her feet get swept from underneath her. 1010 looked down while falling backwards and saw Naruko currently spinning low on the ground with a foot extended out. Naruko caught 1010 before she could hit the ground and gentle put laid her on the ground with her claws pressing against 1010's neck. I win, Naruko said with a smile while looking at a very surprised 1010. Only a few of the elite Jonin actual saw what happened, while the rest suddenly saw Naruko puff up in smoke and then appeared behind 1010, crouch low on the ground mid-spin. 1010 has been defeated. Naruko advances through to the main event, Hayate said, declaring Naruko the winner. Naruko helped 1010 back onto her feet. How? What happened? Ten asked, confused as to what happened. Before the match started, I created a bunchen which planted itself on the roof, Naruko said, point to the roof, and Ten looked up. When you charged in, I switched with the bunchen on the roof. When you hit the bunchen, it dispelled and I dropped down from the roof, landing behind you, and well, you know the rest, Naruko said with a smile. No one ever looks up. I don't know why, but no one looks up, Naruko said while walking up the stairs, the balcony with Ten. The rest of the Rookie 9 except for Sakura and Sasuke were surprised as they still didn't know what actually happened. Before more could be said or done, the screen started flipping through the next set of names, leaving the last few people in suspense. Kiba vs Ino. Please make your way down to the arena, Hayate announced after reading the screen. Kiba and Ino looked at each other with different expressions. Kiba had a big grin on his face while Ino had a nervous smile. Kiba jumped down before putting Akamaru down from sitting on top of Kiba's head. Ino made her way down the stairs, not looking forward to this fight. Ino stopped a few meters in front of Kiba, who was still grinning, which made Ino even more nervous. Ready? Hayate asked while looking at Ino. Let's just get this over with, Ino said with a sigh while getting into a stance. Are you ready? Hayate asked while looking at Kiba. I'm always ready, Kiba said while also getting into a stance. Begin, Hayate said, starting the match. Sorry Ino, but I am going to end this quickly with one punch, Kiba said while making a Hitsuji hand seal. Ninpo. Shikyaku no Jutsu. Kiba called out before going on to his hands low to the ground. Kiba's expression became more animalistic while his nails grew into long claws. Ino gulped before steadying herself and preparing for anything. Nothing at this point could prepare Ino for what happened next, as Kiba suddenly appeared in front of Ino with his fist back. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruko along with the rest of the Rookie 9 were surprised by Kiba's speed. Kiba shot his fist out towards Ino's face, to which Ino narrowly evaded by titling her head to the side. Kiba ended up shooting past Ino but quickly recovered and bounced back towards Ino. With her back faced towards Kiba, Ino could only watch as Kiba bounced back after shooting past her. Kiba used his left hand to grab Ino's left arm and pulled it while pressing it behind Ino's back. Ino let out a short scream from the rough treatment. Kiba placed his right hand by Ino's throat and growled while squeezing his hand, choking Ino slightly. Give up. I don't want to hurt you, Kiba said into Ino's ear. Ah, you already hurting me, Ino said in a slightly higher pitched voice. Sorry Ino, but please give up, Kiba said while pressing her arm harder into her back, making her release another short scream in pain. I give up, you win, Ino said, not being able to get out of this. Ino forfeits. Kiba goes through to the main event, Hayate said, announcing the winner. Kiba released Ino from his hold before Akamaru ran towards him, barking and wagging his tail. Ino started rubbing and stretching her arm, trying to ease the pain. Kiba took out a small round container while walking over to Ino. Here, it's a cream my sister made to relax and ease muscles, Kiba said while holding out the small cream container. Oh, thank you, Ino thanked while taking the cream. Pleasure, and sorry if I hurt you too badly, Kiba said while rubbing the back of his head. You know not all girls like it rough, Ino said seductively and winking at Kiba before turning around and walking towards the balcony. Kiba blushed quite hard while watching Ino's sway from side to side as she walked back to the balcony. Kiba soon followed after Ino, keeping his eyes on her the whole way back. Akamaru kept looking between Kiba and Ino before getting a few ideas in his mind. Well done Kiba-kun, Hinata said softly when Kiba got back to his team. Thanks Hinata. You must also do your best, I know you can do it, Kiba thanked. Hard lines there Ino. I hope you see now that there is still much for you to improve, Asuma said to Ino, who nodded in return. Yay, I know. Even forehead here has improved a lot since the academy. I hope she is alright. Ino said with a sigh while looking towards Sakura. Naruko continued to stay close to Sakura, keeping a few tails wrapped around her. Though Sakura had calmed down, she was still pretty shaken from her first kill. Ino smiled softly, happy that Sakura has found a good friend in Naruko. Everyone turned back to the screen when it started going through the last few names. Yush, since I have come this far, so I will go all the way to the end. I want to go last. Lee shouted out. That's it, Lee, let your youth burn bright. We shall save the best for last. If you don't fight last, I will run around Konoha on my hands until the sun sets. Guy shouted while holding his thumb to Lee and a big smile on his face. Guy sensei, I will show you my springtime of youth. If I don't fight last, I will run around Konoha on my hands backwards until sunset. Lee said with stars in his eyes while looking at Guy. That's my Lee. Guy said with tears pouring out of his eyes and hugging Lee. Guy sensei. Lee said with tears pouring out of his eyes and returning the hug. Lee. Guy sensei. Ten and Neji deadpanned at the two with a sweat drop on the back of their heads while their eyes twitched continuously. The whole of the rookie 9 sweat dropped at the two while wondering how and why they knew such weirdos. Kakashi, Asuma and Kurenai just shook their heads at Lee and Guy. The board stopped showing the contestants for the next fight. Yosha. Lee shouted out along with Guy. Hayate sighed, wondering what kind of people existed within Konoha. Hinata vs Kankuro. Please make your way down to the arena, Hayate announced. Hinata slowly started making her way towards the stairs when she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see who it was and saw Naruko looking at her with a warm smile. Naruko could see Hinata's nervousness and went to go and reassure her. Hinata, have faith in yourself. You are much stronger than you realize. Like Choji, you hold back for fear of hurting someone. Just do your best and have confidence in yourself, Naruko said softly before giving Hinata a hug. Hinata smiled softly while returning the hug, grateful for Naruko's support and reassurance. She released the hug before heading down to the arena where Kankuro was waiting patiently for her. Are you ready? Hayate asked while looking towards Kankuro. Yeah, I'm ready, Kankuro said while dropping the large thing that's covered in white bandages from behind his back. Are you ready? Hayate asked while looking at Hinata. Yes, Hinata said softly before getting into a stance and activating her Byakugan. Hinata immediately saw something off with Kankuro. Kankuro was covered in a layer of chakra as if he was using a henge jutsu. Hinata then shifted her vision to the thing next to Kankuro and to her surprise saw a person in it who looked exactly like Kankuro. Hinata quickly realized what Kankuro is planning and came up with a plan to beat him. Begin, Hayate said, starting the match. I'm glad Naruko gave me courage and confidence like she did. Thanks to her I was able to come up with this attack, Hinata thought while Kankuro dropped the thing next to him before charging at Hinata. When Kankuro reached Hinata, he started attacking with punches and kicks. Hinata either dodged or deflected the attacks. This continued for a few minutes while Hinata waited for an opening to show itself. A few minutes later one did present itself, to which Hinata used to land a hit. Hinata focused as much chakra as she could into her palm before hitting Kankuro's chest. Everyone could hear and see the chakra that was released from Hinata's palm. Hinata's attack completely removed the sand that was covering Kankuro before Kankuro exploded into many pieces. Everyone was surprised and confused as sand exploded out from Kankuro, revealing a wood puppet before the puppet exploded into many pieces, scattering across the floor. Another Kankuro come out from the bandages that covered him. Damn it, you destroyed him. It's not easy putting them together, you know, Kankuro said, a little annoyed. Out of nowhere the head of the puppet flew towards Hinata with a blade sticking out of its open mouth. Hinata evaded the flying head and saw that there was a small line of chakra coming from the back of the head. Hinata followed the line to where it originated from Kankuro's hand. Hinata jumped to the side to avoid the head that came flying towards her. Meanwhile, the head turned and flew back towards Hinata. Hinata, having enough of this flying head, moved to the side before covering her hand in chakra and cutting the chakra line that was connected to the head. The flying head continued its path before lodging itself into the wall behind Hinata. While Hinata charged Kankuro, who was forced to jump back to avoid the attack. "You are in my divination," Hinata said while getting into a stance known all too well by Neji, making him rather furious. "Jukinho. Hake Sanju Nisho," Hinata called out before charging in quickly, to which Kankuro was unable to react to. "Hake Nisho. Yansho. Hasha. Ju Rokusho. Sanju Nisho," Hinata said with each strike before the final attack sent Kankuro flying back a few meters along the ground. Hayate walked up to Kankuro and saw that he was out cold. Hinata wins and advances to the main event," Hayate called out, announcing the winner while medics came and collected Kankuro. Hinata cheered happy inside while walking up to the balcony. She had been practicing but still couldn't do the full Rokujusho version. She saw Naruko and ran up to her before throwing herself at Naruko and hugging her tightly. Naruko was caught a little off guard by Hinata's boldness. "Well done, Hinata. I knew you could do it," Naruko said happily while hugging Hinata. "Thank you, Naruko," Hinata said while releasing the hug. "No, that was all you. I only gave you the push that you needed," Naruko said, shaking her head. "Well done, Hinata. You showed him," Kiba said after Naruko and Hinata arrived to where the rest of the Rookie 9 were. "Thank you, Kiba-kun," Hinata replied back to Kiba. Can the last two contestants please make their way down," Hayate said, wanting to start the last match. Both Shino and Lee jumped down to start their match. Everyone could see that Lee was very excited for his match. "Yosha. Shino-san, let's do our best," Lee said while getting into a stance. "I will do my best." "Why?" "Because a lot is riding on this match," Shino said while lifting his arms and bugs started to pour out and circle him. "Ew. I still can't get used to that," Ino said after seeing the bugs pouring out from Shino. "Yeah, I'm still not used to it and I'm on his team," Kiba said, shivering slightly. "Begin," Hayate said, seeing that the two are ready. Lee charged quickly, catching Shino off guard. Shino barely evaded the punch Lee sent his way and was forced to block the next punch. Shino's arm buckled a bit from the blow and jumped back, trying to get some distance from Lee. Shino found that jumping back did nothing as Lee was already upon him instantly and resumed his ferocious attack. After every few blocks, Lee would land a hit or two, which started taking its toll on Shino. When Lee came in for a hard kick which connected with Shino, Shino suddenly broke and scattered into thousands of bugs after being kicked. Lee turned around and saw Shino standing a few meters away from him, breathing heavily. Shino pointed towards the floor, so Lee looked down and saw a lot of bugs starting to crawl up his legs. "You should give up. My Kikaichu feed off chakra and at this rate they will leave you dry if you don't give up," Shino explained, hoping that Lee gives up as he didn't want to kill or end his ninja career. "I am sorry, Guy-sensei, but it seems I have to break your rule," Lee shouted. "That's fine, Lee. I will make an exception for the exam. Go for it, Lee," Guy shouted back while holding up his thumb. Lee held his arms in a cross above his head while concentrating. "Kaiman Kai," Lee called out while his veins started to thicken and show on his forehead. "Guy, what the hell were you thinking? That is a kinjutsu," Kakashi said sternly while facing Guy. "I don't want to hear that from you, Kakashi. Lee has no talent in nin or genjutsu," Guy replied. "How many?" Kakashi asked while revealing his Sharingan. "He can open 5 of them. It's impressive for his age," Guy said with pride. "Very impressive. There are very few people who can actually do this," Kakashi said while analyzing Lee. Sasuke seeing Kakashi's Sharingan and activated his own to see what exactly is happening. "Human Kai, Simon Kai, Shoman Kai," Lee called out while wind started picking up around him and his veins increased in size. "Oi Kakashi, what is Lee doing? I can feel great power coming off of him, Naruko asked, having never seen this before. In each of our bodies there are 8 gates: initial, heal, life, harm, limit, view, wonder and death, in which our chakra flows though. The initial gate releases the brain's restraints, increasing your power tenfold but damaging the body at the same time, Kakashi explained. The heal gate forcibly increases your stamina, and from the life gate on you enter what Guy calls the extreme lotus. However, this technique is a true double-edged sword. Opening all 8 result in power far beyond the cages, but you will die in exchange for this power, Kakashi finished explaining. Naruko watched Lee with great interest in this technique. Toman Kai, Lee said, opening up the 5th gate. Lee's body was covered in what looked like green chakra while his pupils faded, leaving his eyes completely white. Meanwhile, the green chakra burned off all the bugs that were crawling up his body. Is that chakra? Naruko asked, seeing the green aura around Lee. No. This is a misconception amongst everyone that sees this. The green aura is in fact sweat being released from Lee's body. His sweat gives a green aura because his sweat is being instantly evaporated, Guy explained, answering Naruko's question. Back with Shino and Lee. Shino did not like this as he lost a fair few of his bugs. Shino quickly sent a ball of his bugs to Lee to see what happens. Lee disappeared from view before reappearing behind Shino. Lee lightly hit the back of Shino's neck, which was still a rather hard hit, knocking him out. Lee calmed down, to which the green aura around him dissipated and his pupils returned. He knelt down on one knee while breathing heavily, exhausted from opening up his inner gates. Shino loses. Lee advances to the main event, Hayate said, declaring the end of this match. The preliminaries have come to an end. Can all those going to the main event please make your way down for further instructions, Hayate said, declaring the end of the preliminaries before giving out an order. Shikamaru, Sasuke, Neji, Gaara, Sakura, Naruko, Temari, Kiba and Hinata walked down and joined Lee and stood in a straight line in front of Hayate. Hayate looked from left to right, seeing the genin that will be going through to the main event with a smile. Well done to all of you here. You all pass and now have the right to compete in the main event, Hayate said, congratulating them, to which they all had a smirk, smile or an uninterested look on their faces. Well then, Hokage-sama, if you please, Hayate said while stepping aside. Thank you. Now I will explain the 3rd test for the Chunin selection exam, the Hokage said. Finally, Naruko thought with a smirk. As I said before, in the main event, your matches will be seen by everybody. Each of you will fight to represent your countries. I'd like you to show off all of your powers with no reserves. Which is why the main event will be held a month on now, the Hokage said seriously. Why are we not doing it right now? Naruko asked softly. This break, you can say, will be for preparations, the Hokage explained. What do you mean? The normally quiet Hinata asked loud enough for most to hear. This means that in addition to also notifying the other countries and various people, that this time will be used for the gathering of the event and for you to get to know yourselves and your enemies, the Hokage said, confusing a few people. This old man always makes things complicated when he speaks, Kankuro thought, getting annoyed with the way the Hokage spoke. Like we said. What do you mean? Kankuro asked. This is the time period you will calculate your chances of winning by analyzing the data you have gathered within the preliminaries. The battles you had up until now had you fight as if you were in actual combat with the assumption of fighting an unknown opponent, the Hokage explained. That's for sure. Who would have thought that Gaara uses sand as a weapon? Shikamaru thought while looking at Gaara with a bored look on his face. However, the main event will not be like this. There are those who showed all that they can do and there are those that competed and were killed against a strong opponent. To make all of this fair, a 1-month period should be used to improve and to advance yourselves, the Hokage explained further. Of course it'll be fine to rest your body as well, the Hokage finished his explanation. 1 month I'm sure Sasuke and Sakura will spend the time well and so shall I, Naruko thought while taking a glance towards Sasuke and Sakura. I would like to dismiss you but there is one thing left to do, the Hokage said with grin. In this box there are pieces of paper, please take only one. Anko if you please, the Hokage said while Anko stepped forward while holding a brown box. I will come around so please wait, Anko said walking up to Shikamaru. Shikamaru put his hand in the box and took out the page before opening it up and raising an eyebrow. Anko then went to Neji, Lee, Temari, Gaara, Kiba, Hinata, Sakura, Sasuke and then finally Naruko. Naruko reached in and took the last piece of paper before opening it up and seeing the number 8 on it. 8. What the? Naruko asked rather confused. Now please read the paper and say the number that is on it from left to right, Ibiki asked who was holding a clipboard. 3. Shikamaru said with a bored tone. 1. Neji said next. 6. Lee said loudly making Neji shake his head. 5. Temari said sweetly. 7. Gaara said emotionlessly. 4. Kiba said shrugging his shoulders. 2. Hinata said just loud enough for Ibiki to hear. 10. Sakura said and Naruko could still see Sakura's uneasiness. 9. Sasuke said before looking at Sakura partly thinking what this might before. 8. Naruko said wondering what this is all about. Now I will reveal to you the final tournament, the Hokage said with a smirk. Huh, Kankuro and a few people shouted out. That's what we drew the numbers for, Shikamaru said loudly a bit annoyed. Sakura looked at Sasuke who was looking back for taking a rather big gulp knowing what this means. Naruko looked to Gaara who looked back and both had a smirk on their face. Now Ibiki, show them the match arrangements, the Hokage asked while looking at Ibiki. Ibiki turned the clipboard around showing them the matches. Match 1. Hyuga Neji vs Hyuga Hinata. Match 2. Nara Shikamaru vs Inuzuka Kiba. Match 3. Temari vs Rock Lee. Match 4. Gaara vs Uzumaki Naruko. Match 5. Uchiha Sasuke vs Haruno Sakura. Match 6. Winner of Match 3 vs winner of Match 4. Match 7. Winner of Match 1 vs winner of Match 2. Match 8. Winner of Match 6 vs winner of Match 5. Match 9. Winner of Match 7 vs winner of Match 8. Well, this is interesting. Hinata vs Neji, wonder how that will turn out. I am versing Gaara right of the bat. Hope we don't destroy everything. But the kicker here is Sasuke-kun is going up against Sakura. Sigh, this is going to be very interesting, Naruko thought after analyzing the clipboard. Before you are dismissed, are there any questions? The Hokage asked. Yes. Since this is a tournament there can be only one winner. Does this mean that only one of us will become Chunin? Shikamaru asked. That is a good assumption but no it does not. There will be judges including myself, the Kage, various lords of countries and ninja leaders from other countries. We all will watch and will be evaluating your abilities all throughout the tournament, the Hokage replied. If you have the abilities and skills necessary to become Chunin then you can become Chunin even if you lose in the first match. Those that win the match will have more chances to show off their abilities, the Hokage continued. So that means we could all become Chunins. Temari said after hearing what was said. Yes, but it also means that there is the chance none of you become Chunin, the Hokage responded, shocking a few people. So do you understand now, Shikamaru-kun? The Hokage asked. Yay. Shikamaru answered. Geez, what a big hassle this is, Shikamaru thought with a sigh and shrugging his shoulders. Very then you are all dismissed until a month from now, the Hokage said before most people started to disperse. Team 7 walked together in silence for a few reasons but their attention turned to Kakashi who appeared in front of them. Well done you guys. I'm really proud of you. I knew you could do it, Kakashi said with an eye smile feeling really proud of this team. Thanks Kakashi ni, Naruko said with a smile. Meet me in an hour by our usual spot, Kakashi said, to which all three nodded. Sakura, could you take a walk with me please? Kakashi said while looking at Sakura. Sakura nodded silently before following Kakashi, leaving Naruko and Sasuke alone. I hope she is alright, I really do. It's hard killing someone for the first time, Naruko said softly. She will be fine, but if you are still worried we can keep an eye on her for the next few days, Sasuke replied while turning to face Naruko. Thank you, Naruko said softly before giving Sasuke a short kiss. So do you want to do anything for this next hour? Sasuke asked. Sorry Sasuke-kun, but I have something I need to do, Naruko said apologetically. It's alright, go do what you need, though you owe me a date for this, Sasuke said while a mischievous smile making Naruko giggle a bit. A date, huh? It better not interrupt my training, Naruko said while wrapping her arms around Sasuke's neck before giving him a mouth-melting kiss. Sasuke wrapped his arms around Naruko's waist while melting into the kiss. Naruko released a soft cute moan making Sasuke blush and deepen the kiss. They continued kissing for several minutes and taking breaths in between, but were interrupted by a cough. Naruko and Sasuke turned to the cough and saw the Hokage standing there with Ibiki and Anko behind. Anko had a hungry look in her eyes with a big grin on her face. Ibiki and the Hokage had a smirk on their face. Sasuke and Naruko blushed rather hard, feeling very embarrassed in this situation. Gigi, Naruko said in surprise. Love birds went right to it, Ibiki teased with a grin making them blush harder. This is sad. I was hoping to get to you first, Anko said with a sigh while looking at Naruko. Though Sasuke-kun, you don't mind sharing Naru-chan with me, do you? Anko said seductively while licking her lips. Sasuke blushed harder while he got a small nosebleed at the thought of sharing Naruko with Anko. The Hokage skillfully hid his nosebleed while Ibiki wiped his nose clean. Naruko's turned red from embarrassment, though a few images of her and Anko did go through her mind. Enough Anko, she is embarrassed enough, the Hokage said trying to save Naruko. Is there something you want to tell me? The Hokage asked. Yes, it's about what happened in the forest, Naruko said nodding her head. So you did encounter that snake bastard, Anko said with anger in her voice. Yay. But how? Naruko started to ask. I had a run-in with him after discovering 3 dead Kusanin outside the training grounds, Anko answered while rubbing her neck. He said he was after Sasuke-kun. Why, I don't know, Naruko said, telling them a bit of what she heard. Tell us everything that happened, the Hokage said. For the next 40 minutes Sasuke told his part to them a few times before Naruko told them her side of what happened a few times. Naruko didn't tell them about how she fought Orochimaru, just what he said to her and that she thinks she drove him away. Gigi, do you know what he wants with Sasuke-kun? Naruko asked after having go over all the details a few times. His goal is to collect every single jutsu he can get his hands on. He studies these jutsus trying to learn reason from them as well as live. He has been researching what he can about immortality. He doesn't want Sasuke specifically, he wants his Sharingan, the Hokage answered. Kid, I need to speak to you ASAP. It's important, so I will pester you about it, Kurama suddenly said out of the blue, making Naruko wonder what was so important. He no doubt planned to give Sasuke a cursed mark, which he had hoped would increase your hatred and desire for power in your pursuit to kill Itachi. But thanks to Naruko, in more than one way this didn't happen, the Hokage with a smile while looking at the blushing Naruko. He is right on this, Naru-chan. I no longer wish to kill him anymore, rather capture him and let him live with the fact that he has killed his clan and our parents. Death, if anything, would be the easy way out for him, Sasuke said while cupping Naruko's cheek and looking deeply into her eyes. I may want power, no strength, so that I will be the one to protect you and to be by your side through thick and thin. I want to grow strong so that nothing will ever separate us and so that when you go all out I can go all out with you, Sasuke said softly before giving a soft kiss full of his emotions. Thank you Sasuke-kun, thank you, Naruko said softly while hugging Sasuke for dear life. If there is anything more you need feel free to come to my office, the Hokage said while placing a hand on Naruko's shoulder before walking off with Ibiki and Anko feeling very proud of Naruko and Sasuke. We should get going, it's almost time to meet up with Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke said suddenly realizing that they have been there for some time. Naruko quickly dragged Sasuke outside the building before coming to a stop. Wouldn't be quicker if you changed into your fox form? We have a lot of ground to cover, Sasuke said remembering that have about 11 miles to travel. I have something a little better, Naruko said with a grin making Sasuke raise an eyebrow. Better what do you? Sasuke started to say before going quiet and dropping his jaw. Instead of changing into a fox, Naruko turned into a large eagle that was a bit taller than Sasuke. Naruko in her eagle form leaned down before motioning for Sasuke to climb on. You mean? Sasuke asked rather dumbfounded. Gah, Naruko chirped out while nodding her head. Sasuke climbed up and braced himself getting ready for the ride of a lifetime. Naruko flapped her large wings while slowly taking off and flying into the sky. Sasuke felt a rush of adrenaline while Naruko climbed higher and higher. Sasuke looked down and saw the whole forest that they had been in and grabbed on when Naruko started picking up speed. After a few minutes they were high above the clouds and Sasuke could see a great deal of Konoha and the surrounding lands. Wow, Naruko, this is amazing. We're flying, we're actually flying, Sasuke shouted while sitting straight up and feeling the wind rush past his face. Gah, Naruko chirped back while turning her head to the side to look at Sasuke who had the biggest smile on his face. Sasuke saw Naruko looking back at him, but what scared him was the mischievous look Naruko had in her eye. Naruko, what are you up to? Sasuke asked nervously, to which Sasuke could swear that Naruko was grinning. Naruko suddenly took a dive straight down making Sasuke scream and hold on for dear life. Naruko came out of her dive before shooting back up into the sky while doing a barrel roll, then doing a loop and going into another dive. Naruko then came out her dive again below the clouds and flying calmly. Sasuke started laughing at the excitement and adrenaline from Naruko flying wildly like that. Naruko felt her heart skip a beat when she heard Sasuke laughing and enjoying the ride. Naruko looked back and saw Sasuke who had a genuine smile on his face. While Sasuke saw that Naruko was looking at him again but wondered what it was this time. Naruko looked deeply into his eyes and saw that life had fully returned to them. Naruko could see glistening with life and joy in his eyes making her heart skip another. Naruko quickly broke her gaze with Sasuke and looking forward. If it weren't for her eagle form, Sasuke would have seen a deep red blush on Naruko's face. They soon reached the training ground where Naruko went into a dive before stopping just before the ground and landing softly. Naruko shifted into her human form before Sasuke could get off. Sasuke suddenly felt nothing beneath him drop down onto the ground, landing hard on his ass. Why you? Sasuke shouted playfully before tackling Naruko. Both of them rolled a few times and continued to roll, battling who would land it on top. They eventually stopped rolling with Naruko winning and coming out on top, straddling Sasuke's ass. Naruko sat up straight, keeping her hands on Sasuke's shoulders, keeping him down. Both of them suddenly burst out laughing from enjoy and excitement of playing and having fun. After a few minutes both of them calmed down while Naruko looking deeply into Sasuke's eyes, who looked back just as deeply. Naruko leaned down, bring her lips to Sasuke's lips. Naruko enjoyed the kiss and felt Sasuke's tongue against her lips asking for permission. Naruko gladly opened her mouth, allowing Sasuke to explore her mouth and twirl his tongue around hers. Naruko cupped Sasuke's cheek while Sasuke wrapped his arms around her waist. Naruko moaned while her tails moved down and started to caress and rub all over Sasuke's body. Sasuke had to admit that he really liked it when Naruko's tails rubbed against his body. Sasuke released small soft moan that was still heard by Naruko, making her start to heat up after hearing Sasuke moan softly. The kiss turned from a loving gentle kiss to a heated, more demanding kiss while Sasuke moved his hands to gently cup Naruko's cheek. Sasuke surprised Naruko by rolling over so Sasuke was on top, making Naruko yelp in surprise. Before Naruko could ask what Sasuke was doing, Sasuke reengaged the kiss and using his tongue to explore Naruko's mouth. Naruko moaned while closing her eyes again, returning the kiss. Naruko's hands moved up from cupping Sasuke's cheek, allowing her arms slowly move up and wrap them round Sasuke's neck, trying to hold Sasuke closer to her. Two of Naruko's trails wrapped around Sasuke's waist while the rest continued to caress Sasuke's body. Cough cough. Both Sasuke and Naruko broke the kiss before turning to see who had interrupted their moment. They looked up and saw Kakashi standing there with a grin on his face while Sakura was standing next to Kakashi with a deep blush on her face. As much as I enjoy the show, we have a few things that need to be discussed, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Sasuke and Naruko blush a bit while standing up, and Sakura walked and stood next to Naruko. So I want to say again, well done you three. You've made me really proud. Team 7 is the only team to have all three members go through to the main event, Kakashi said, praising his team, who all had a smile on their face. For the next month I have no doubt you three want to train like there is no tomorrow. Unfortunately I can't train all three of you, Kakashi said, to which Naruko was going to say something. Kakashi held his hand up, stopping Naruko from saying anything. Let me finish. I will be training Sasuke as he has the Sharingan and is a lot like me. Naruko, Sakura, I organized others to train you. These people are more suited to train you than I am. Sakura, you sensei will be here in the next hour or so. Naruko, you will have to find yours, Kakashi explained before handing Naruko a piece of cloth. You want me to track him down? Naruko deadpanned at Kakashi. Yep, only because I can't find him, Kakashi said sheepishly, making Naruko grumble in annoyance. Sasuke, you better say goodbye to Naruko because we will be leaving now and you won't see her or anyone else for a month, Kakashi said, to which Naruko and Sasuke were not happy with. Sorry Naru-chan, but it looks like I have to take a rain check on that date of ours. I'll be sure to make it up to you, Sasuke said softly to Naruko while wrapping his arms around her waist. You better make it up. Train hard Sasuke-kun and I shall see you in a month's time, Naruko replied back softly before giving Sasuke a passion-filled kiss. Kakashi then placed his hand on Sasuke's shoulder before they both disappeared in swirl of leaves and dust. Naruko already started to miss him, but she couldn't wait to see how much stronger Sasuke will be when he returns. How are you feeling, Sakura? Naruko asked while placing her hands on Sakura's shoulders. Yes, I'm good, thanks. Kakashi did have a talk with me about it, Sakura replied with a warm small smile. That good to hear. If you ever need anything, just let me know, Naruko said softly while bringing Sakura into a hug. I will. Thank you Naruko, you really helped me back there. I don't know how I can repay you for this, Sakura said, returning the hug, very grateful for the friend she has in Naruko. It's my pleasure Sakura. You don't have to repay me for anything, though there's one thing I do want you to do, Naruko said, making Sakura a bit curious. Repair your friends with Ino. You were best friends and I don't want to see that when between you two. Good friends are hard to come by and life is too short to throw something like that away, Naruko said while pulling back to looking into Sakura's eyes. Yeah, I will. I should be the one to apologize. I'm the one that split us apart, Sakura said sadly. It doesn't matter who did what as long as one of you are willing to forgive each other and let your friends grow even stronger than it was before, Naruko said, to which Sakura nodded. Be sure to train hard Sakura and give Sasuke a run for his money, Naruko said to Sakura, wanting to go and find her sensei. Oh, I will. I'll show him and you what I am made of, Sakura said, feeling much happier than she was earlier. Cheers, Sakura, I'll see you around, Naruko said before running off. Konoha Market District. Naruko had picked up this person's scent and is following it, which is why she is currently running in circles around the market district. What the hell is this guy doing? I have been running in circles for ages, Naruko thought, starting to get annoyed. Naruko continued to follow the tail only to find that C was heading back to the entrance of the village where she originally started. Oh 4. Naya, this guy is really starting to annoy me, Naruko thought, getting really annoyed. When Naruko passed the village gate, she turned into her fox form and ran much faster, trying to catch up with this guy. Naruko followed the scent and realized where she was heading. This leads to a hot spring. I hope he isn't inside, Naruko thought, hoping for the best. Naruko was a bit confused when the scent led her to behind the hot spring. Slowly walking, Naruko kept looking for this new sensei of hers. Naruko walked around the corner of the hot spring and saw a person that was peeking through a small hole. Naruko realized that this was the person she was looking for. Damn you, Kakashi ni. What kind of joke this is, Naruko thought, not impressed with Kakashi. Naruko shifted into her true fox form, which was at least 3 stories tall. Nowhere near the size of Kurama, but she was getting there. Her gold blonde fur shined beautiful in the sun while her 5 tails stopped waving and remained still. Naruko quietly walked up to the peeking man. Each step was silent, allowing her to easily sneak up to the man. Naruko saw that his man was wearing a long sleeveless red cloak over light brown-green long-sleeved shirt and long pants with brown wood sandals. On his lower back was a large green and red scroll which was partly covered by his long white spiky hair. When Naruko reached close to the man, she started growling loudly. Naruko saw the man freeze before slowly turning his head around. When the man turned his head around and saw Naruko, he quickly turned his whole body around before backing up until he was right against the wall behind him. Naruko growled louder but didn't release any killing intent. Oh, the man said with a pale face and a fake pleading smile. Naruko shifted into her human before rolling on the ground, laughing her lungs out. Ha 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 ha. Naruko laughed loudly while the man blinked a few times and looked down at Naruko. What the hell? The man said, quite confused. Ha 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 ha. You should. Ha 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 ha. Have seen the ha 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 ha. Look on your ha 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 face, it's priceless. Naruko said in between laughing. Huh. The man said, confused as to what was going on, though he was still a bit pale for some reason Naruko didn't know. Oi, you damn brat. You scared the living daylights out of me. The man shouted in rage at Naruko, making her laugh even more. The man mumbled and grumbled something about the respect for their elders that kids nowadays lack. Naruko calmed down after a few minutes and picked herself off of the floor. Kakashi ni said you are the one that's supposed to train me. But all I see is an arrow, Gigi, Naruko said plainly. Kakashi ni. When did Kakashi get a? Wait, Naruko. The man said before his eyes went wide and realized who was in front of him. Yep, that's me. So who are you? Naruko said with a smile. I'm glad you asked, the man said with a grin before jumping over Naruko and turned to face her. Naruko turned around trying to figure out what this strange pervert is up to. Mount Myobokugama Master Sennin, also known as Gama Sennin, remember it? The Gama Sennin shouted while jumping up and clapping his feet before landing in a pose with a hand above and in front of his with 1 foot off the ground. Say, Sennin? Naruko asked while her eyes twitched and sweat dropped at this weird old man. Yes, that's me, the man said while standing up straight. So Arrow Sennin, what are you doing? Naruko asked sweetly, which brought back some pain memories for the old man. I was working, and don't call me that, the Gama Sennin said with a slight shiver before shouting the last part. Working? Naruko asked, a bit confused. Yes, I'm working. I'm a writer and I'm working on a novel, the Gamma Senin said while pulling out an all too familiar orange book. Nyaaa. That is that damn perverted book Kakashi ni reads, Naruko shouted out while pointing at the book. Oh, so you know of my Ika Ika paradise. It's getting pretty famous, the Gamma Senin said with pride and a smile. Nyaaa. It's a filthy book you damn arrow Senin. Naruko shouted making the Gamma Senin's eye twitch. And what do you mean work? You were just peeping into a women's bath you pervert. Naruko continued to shout. Bakamano. I'm not just a pervert, peeping gives me inspiration to be right better. The Gamma Senin shouted back. Usotsuke. What a lame excuse. I spent ages trying to track you down thinking it's some kind of training only to find you peeping, Naruko shouted annoyed at this man. Training? The Gamma Senin asked in a normal voice with a bit of confusion. Yes, training. Kakashi ni said that you would train me, Naruko replied. Well, I don't train annoying cheeky gakis like you. Even if you are a hot babe, the Gamma Senin said while taking a good look at Naruko's body. Pedophilia pervert, Naruko shouted out making the Gamma Senin's eye twitch a few times. I'm not into that, he shot back quickly. Then how about this? Naruko said getting into a pose that the Gamma Senin mistook for a stance. I'm a Senin. I'm not stupid enough to be fooled by you, you annoying gaki. The Gamma Senin said with an eye twitch. Naruko shifted into a 20-year-old version of herself minus the clothes, leaving her glorious body for the man to see. Naruko had a full double E cup, a flat smooth stomach and long thin and firm legs. I like you. The Gamma Senin said with a nosebleed and a big grin on his face while holding up both of his thumbs. He's an idiot, Naruko thought, deadpanning at the man. Sue, will you train me now? Naruko said seductively, biting her finger and letting her tails caress all over her body. Yes, but under one condition, the man said holding up his index finger. Condition? Naruko asked seductively. Yes. When you are in my presence you will remain like this, the man said with a grin. Pervert, Naruko shouted while she shifted into her normal form with clothes back on. No, I'm not just a pervert, the Gamma Senin shot back. Yay, right, Naruko said while crossing her arms, not believing this guy. I am a super pervert. The Gamma Senin shouted out with a creepy weird expression on his face. He openly admits it, the crazy bastard. Naruko thought, sweat dropping at this crazy person. Jokes aside, yes, I will train you. So get ready to be put through the ringer by the great Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya said seriously with a smirk on his face. Jiraiya, you mean? Naruko said before her eyes went very wide. Yes, Densetsu no Sanin, Jiraiya. Jiraiya said holding his thumb up. Last time, jokes aside, yes, I will train you. So get ready to be put through the ringer by the great Jiraiya-sama. Jiraiya said seriously with a smirk on his face. Jiraiya, you mean? Naruko said before her eyes went very wide. Yes, Densetsu no Sanin, Jiraiya. Jiraiya said holding his thumb up. Chapter 19. So the first Sanin I meet is a pedophilia snake with an identity problem, and now the second one I meet is a pedophilia perverted toad. What's the third one? A drunken slug, Naruko said, deadpanning at Jiraiya making a certain someone sneeze. I'm not into that, Jiraiya shouted back with a tick mark in his forehead. Yay yay, whatever you say, Naruko said, making Jiraiya's eye twitch. Follow me, we are going to start your training, Jiraiya said before turning around and walking off. Training Ground 15. Before we start, you should know that Kakashi told me everything about you, including Kyuubi and your father, Jiraiya said, surprising Naruko a bit. So he really did tell you everything, Naruko said while making a bunshin. The bunshin shifted into Minato before smiling at Jiraiya. Sensei, it's good to see you again, Minato said with a smile. Minato, it really is you, Jiraiya replied with disbelief. Yes, it's me, sensei, Minato said with a nod before turning to face Naruko. Sensei. Naruko asked, hearing her father say sensei. Yep, he was my Jonin instructor, Minato answered. Now back to your training before we get sidetracked here. We don't have a lot of time, Jiraiya said, getting Naruko's attention. This first one shouldn't take long, Jiraiya said while taking the large scroll of his back on, putting it on the ground before unrolling it. Naruko saw a list of people with their hand print beneath their names. Naruko saw that the last two were her father and Jiraiya. This is the contract for the toads of Mount Myobokugama. With this you can summon toads to aid you in battle, Jiraiya explained. Write your name here in blood like the rest, Jiraiya told Naruko as she bit her thumb and started writing her name. With your chakra reserves, both Minato and I will be teaching you jutsus that can make uses of this, rather than focus on your chakra control, Jiraiya explained while Naruko signed the contract. Jiraiya rolled up the contract and placed on his back when Naruko finished signing the contract. To summon, bite your thumb and spread the blood across your palm before going through the hand seals, I, Inu, Tori, Saru and Hitsuji. Like this, Jiraiya explained. Jiraiya bite his thumb before going through the hand seals, then slamming his hand on the ground. Ninpo. Kuchio's no jutsu. Jiraiya called out while black markings appeared beneath his hand. Jiraiya disappeared in a puff of smoke once the smoke cleared and Naruko saw him standing on a large toad about the size of Minato and Jiraiya. Wow, that's cool, Naruko beamed before the toad disappeared in a puff of smoke and Jiraiya landed on the ground. Now you try. Remember, you need the blood as a sacrifice and pour as much chakra as you can into the jutsu, Jiraiya explained. Naruko nodded while biting her thumb and spreading the blood across her palm before going through the hand seals, pouring in as much chakra as she could and slammed her hand down onto the ground. Ninpo. Kuchio's no jutsu. Naruko called out before a large puff of smoke appeared, to which Minato and Jiraiya disappeared, knowing who Naruko summoned. I didn't think she could get him on the first try. You only managed on your third try, Jiraiya said to Minato. Well, she is talented and has a lot of chakra, Minato replied while rubbing the back of his head and chuckling awkwardly. Once the smoke cleared, Naruko landed on something hard before looking forward and seeing two big eyes staring at her. Naruko had landed on the nose of the giant orange toad that was around the same size as Shukaku and Kurama. The toad is wearing an open shirt and a huge sword on his. Who are you, and where is Jiraiya? He has some nerve summoning me after the last time, the toad spoke loudly while looking around for Jiraiya. I don't know where Ero Sennin is and I'm the one who summoned you, Naruko said while standing up. Ero Sennin. Bahahaha, good name for the old man kid, the toad said with a laugh. So why did he summon me? The toad asked Naruko. Are you deaf? I'm the one who summoned you, Naruko said, a little annoyed. You. Sniff sniff. What is Jiraiya thinking allowing your kind to sign the contract? The toad said with a bit of anger in his voice. My kind. Why do you have a problem with my kind? Naruko asked sternly while looking hard into the toad's eye. You have some nerve speaking to me in such a tone, filth. And yes, I have a problem. Your kind is nothing but a bunch of degraded demons that live for the thrill of death and destruction, the toad said in a harsh tone while narrowing his eyes on Naruko. Filth. Oi, you piece of shit. I'm not some stain or plague. You have no right to judge someone before you have even attempted to get to know the person. I may be a Hanyou, but that doesn't mean I'm some evil thing that wants to destroy things, Naruko shot back in a tone of anger. Why you dare speak to Gamabunta like that? Why should I care? You and your kind bring and care for nothing but death and destruction, even more so than demons, Gamabunta said in a low threatening tone. Don't care who you are. I'm not some destruction-hungry creature. Ero Sennin allowed me to sign the contract and I summoned you, Naruko replied back, ignoring Gamabunta's tone. I don't care, I will never accept you as my summoner or master. Now get off me before I make you, Gamabunta said, threatening Naruko. Gamabunta, that's enough, Jiraiya said, landing on top of Gamabunta's head. Jiraiya, what is the meaning of this, allowing that to summon me? Gamabunta asked in a less threatening tone towards Jiraiya. That girl is Minato's daughter. And do you really think I would just let anyone sign the contract? Jiraiya said, not happy with Gamabunta. How is she a Hanyou? Last I checked, both Minato and Kushina were human, Gamabunta asked while Naruko wondered who Kushina was. Yes, they were human. Naruko used to be human, but due to her having Kyuubi sealed in her, she had to be turned into a Hanyou, else she would have died, Jiraiya explained. Wait, this is the kid Minato sealed Kyuubi in? Gamabunta asked. Yes, she is. Minato would be very disappointed in you. Now will you still allow her to summon you or not, Jiraiya? Don't bother. I don't care for his answer, Naruko said plainly before turning around and heading towards the end of Gamabunta's nose. Naruko, wait! Jiraiya shouted, making Naruko stop and turn to face Jiraiya. Why? I don't need someone like him as my summon. Even if he will allow me, it's only because he now knows who my father is. I hate people like him who are quick to judge and label others just because of what they are, Naruko shouted back while pointing at Gamabunta. I didn't ask to be turned into a Hanyou, and I certainly didn't ask to have Kyuubi sealed in me. Even after all the stories I have heard about Kyuubi, I still didn't judge him and saw him for who he is, not what he isn't or is perceived to be, Naruko shouted out in anger. She was really tired and annoyed at people always judging and labeling. Jiraiya at this point was quiet along with Gamabunta, who was feeling guilty. Say he allowed me to summon him or other toads, what's to stop them from doing what he did when I first summoned him? Naruko shouted out. I am the chief summon of Mount Myobokuzen, and all the toads trust my judgment in who I allow to summon them, Gamabunta answered. I, Gamabunta of Mount Myobokuzen, will allow you to summon the toads of Mount Myobokuzen, he continued saying, making Jiraiya smile. But why? I thought I was filth and that you didn't care and would never accept me as your summoner, so why now? Naruko asked with an emotionless face. Because Jiraiya finds you worthy and I trust his judgment in who he allows to sign the contract, Gamabunta replied. If you really trusted Jiraiya's word and judgment, then we wouldn't be having this problem. Besides, why should I summon you and your toads? For power. Don't need or want it. I'm looking for strength. Naruko responded, not impressed at all. For aid when I need it. I already have friends in Q-chan for that, Naruko continued. Because it's a privilege. Screw you all, look somewhere else. So tell me, why should I summon you? Naruko asked, starting to shout again. Naruko, that's enough, Jiraiya said sternly. No, Jiraiya, she's right. I let my hatred and past cloud my judgment. I know that you would only allow someone you trust and see as worthy to sign the contract. As to why you should summon us, I don't have an answer for you, Gamabunta said, shaking his head slowly before lowering his head, allowing Jiraiya and Naruko to get off. As I said, you are more than welcome to summon us if you so choose. Please accept my apology for how I acted, Naruko. And Jiraiya, sorry for ever doubting you, word, Gamabunta said before disappearing in a poof of smoke. Naruko, just give Bunta a chance. The toads are the strongest summon you can get. Bunta does have a reason to hate Hanyous. His family and brother were killed by a group of them just for the pleasure of it, Jiraiya explained to Naruko. So, the death of my parents was because of some greedy human was looking for power, and I don't go insulting and judging humans. I'll give him another chance, but not now. I need to calm down first, Naruko replied while Minato walked to their location. Jiraiya nodded and hoped that all will go well. So what else do you have for training? Naruko asked, wanting to get her training underway. You are now going to be doing your normal fitness training, but you are going to double it, Jiraiya told Naruko while taking out a small piece of cloth. What's that for? Naruko asked, a bit confused. Because Kakashi forgot to give you your weights back, you will be using this. It has a gravity seal on it. It acts the roughly same as a resistance seal, which is also on here, Jiraiya said, seeing Naruko's confusion before giving her the piece of cloth. Tie it around your arm so I can activate the seals, Jiraiya said, to which Naruko did what she was told and tied the seal around her right arm. Jiraiya made a half-Tora seal and activated the 2 seals on the piece of cloth. Naruko instantly felt the effects and was forced to her knees while using her hands to stop her from planting her face into the ground. Naruko tried moving but felt it very difficult due to the resistance and added weight. Ah, what the hell is this thing? Naruko asked while slowly trying to stand up. The seals on there aren't your normal gravity and resistance seals. I have tuned them so that they will automatically increase weight and resistance as you start to get used to the current weight and resistance, Jiraiya explained while he watched Naruko stand up slowly and surely. I estimate that it's like having your weights at around 350 kilograms a piece, so you weight around 1750 kilogram. For your resistance, I'd say it makes it 10 times hard for you to move, Jiraiya said with a smirk, making Naruko's eyes go wide. So hop to it. You need to do 2 sessions of your fitness training. This will give both Minato and I time to set out a training schedule for you, Jiraiya said, to which Naruko mumbled and grumbled while slowly walking off. Oh, what's that? Did you say increase the weight and resistance? Oh sure, here you go. Now you can enjoy 1875 kilograms and it's now 20 times harder for you to move, Jiraiya said while holding half-Tora seal and increasing the resistance and gravity seals on Naruko. Naruko fumbled back down to the ground while mental cursing at Jiraiya before getting back up slowly and starting her normal fitness training. 4 hours later, it took Naruko an agonizing 4 hours to complete 2 sessions of her fitness training. Naruko slowly made her way back to Jiraiya and Minato, who were talking to each other and laughing a few times. Naruko stopped in front of Jiraiya and her father with an "I hate you" expression on her face. That took a bit longer than you expected, didn't it? Jiraiya asked with a grin, seeing Naruko look a bit tired, making her eye twitch. Naruko refrained from saying anything, knowing what Jiraiya might do. Seeing as we have only around 3 hours left to train, you are going to complete your lightning Seishitsu Henka training. So make as many bunshins as you can, Jiraiya said, to which Naruko sighed before nodding. Naruko made a half-Tora seal before around 2000 bunshin appeared in a poof of smoke covering the area with Naruko's. Right, the original, come with me, we will be doing additional training, Jiraiya said while walk off. Naruko followed Jiraiya and Minato where they stopped a few meters away from the ocean of Naruko's. Now his next jutsu has 3 steps to it. The first step is rotation. To pass the first step you need to pop this water balloon. Here, watch, Jiraiya said while unsealing a few water balloons. Jiraiya took one of water balloon and held it in one hand. 2 seconds later the water balloon shook while it stretched and retracted all over before bursting, leaving almost no trace of the balloon or the water inside it. Using your chakra you must make the water inside spin and make it pop, Jiraiya told Naruko while giving her a water balloon. Taking the balloon, Naruko held it in her right hand before concentrating in making the water spin anti-clockwise. Meanwhile increasing the speed of the rotations, making the balloon bulge out so it was more oval in shape. While increasing the speed further, and seeing that it hasn't popped yet, Naruko stopped her follow of chakra to think a bit of why the balloon isn't popping. Why isn't it popping? Mine looks a bit different than why Arrow Sennin did it. His had multiply bulges, mine only had one. I'll ask him to demonstrate again and see what I can learn from it, Naruko thought. Naruko looked up and saw Jiraiya sitting underneath a tree writing something on a notepad. Naruko walked up to Jiraiya, partly wondering what he was writing, but left it for now as there were more important things to worry about. Arrow Sennin, can you please demonstrate it again? I want to see something, Naruko asked, looking down on Jiraiya. Don't call me that, damn it. Kids have no respect these days, he grumbled while standing up. Yay, so can you demonstrate again please? Naruko asked again, ignoring Jiraiya's complaining. Yes, just bring it here, Jiraiya said before taking the balloon from Naruko. Jiraiya concentrated for a bit before the balloon bulged all over, then popped with a small bang. Naruko watched carefully, trying to see what was different and how Jiraiya made the balloon bulge all over like it did. He makes it bulge in random areas and the bulges only stay for a short time before appearing somewhere else. I was making the water spin in one direction and I got one continuous bulge. Naruko thought. So you happy now? Jiraiya asked. Yes, I think so, Naruko said before Jiraiya threw another water balloon at Naruko. Naruko caught the balloon before using her chakra and making the water inside spin anti-clockwise for a few seconds. Yay, it's one continuous bulge. But how do I make my chakra flow in more than one direction? Naruko thought while looking deeply at the balloon. Hey Arrow Sennin, how do I get my chakra to rotate in random direction at the same time? Naruko asked. Ho, so you figured that bit, did you? Well, you will have to figure that out for yourself, Jiraiya replied with a grin. She figured that out within a few minutes. She might just surpass you, Minato, Jiraiya thought while Naruko went back to her training. For the next 3 hours Naruko continued trying to master the first step of her new jutsu while her bunchins had managed to master her lightning Seishitsu Henka training but continued to practice for the next hour. Right, you can stop now, Naruko. We'll continue this tomorrow and you better be here by 0500 hours. You don't want to know what will happen if you don't, Jiraiya said to Naruko with an evil grin. Hi, Naruko said, refraining from complaining knowing what might happen if she did. Naruko ran off heading home to relax from today's hectic and busy day. Kakashi and Naruko's home. Sigh. It's quite without Kakashi ni, Naruko thought with a sigh. Oi Kit. I need to speak to you now, hurry up and enter the seal, Kurama said to Naruko. Hi, Naruko mumbled, wondering what was so important. Inside the seal, Naruko entered the seal and made her way to Kurama before sitting down and leaning up against him. Naruko started patting one of Kurama's tails and enjoyed the company. So what did you want to speak about? Naruko asked while still patting one of Kurama's tails. While you were talking to the old man, he said that Orochimaru was researching into immortality. I must tell you that to a degree you are immortal. Your demon half stops you from aging and becoming sick. Basically, you cannot die from old age or diseases, Kurama explained. Naruko's eyes went wide at this before turning to face Kurama. When you reach around 17 or 18, your body will stop aging so you won't get old or die from old age. That being said, you can still be killed, but it will be very difficult. With your regeneration added with mine, you would have to be killed instantly or obliterated, Kurama explained further. Well, that's good to know. So you are saying I should watch myself around that snake bastard, Naruko replied after a few seconds of taking it all in. No, I am saying you are better off killing him, but that might be harder than you expect it to be, Kurama responded. That's all I wanted to say about that. Now for the other reason. I will be teaching you a few new things. The first is how to access and control your demon chakra. You are currently using your human side chakra, Kurama said, making Naruko excited. Now that you have defeated your evil self, you can now learn to control your demon chakra without losing yourself. Unlike your normal chakra, demon chakra is more destructive and more powerful in nature, but it's a lot harder to control or even use. Later, when you can control your demon chakra, I will teach you how to combine it with your human chakra, Kurama explained. So I have 2 sets of chakra I can use. Wow, that's useful, Naruko said, surprised yet again. No, you have 3 sets. The third being mine, Kurama corrected Naruko, making her smile softly. Minato, can you make a seal that will stop chakra from escaping this room? The last thing we need is this village panicking when Naruko summons her demon chakra, Kurama asked, confusing Naruko a bit. Before Naruko could ask, Kurama kicked her out the seal, sending her back into the real world. Real world, Naruko's room. Hey Kurama, I was about to ask you something, Naruko complained out loud. I know what you were going to ask. Just like I can communicate with you, I can communicate with your father, Kurama replied to Naruko's unspoken question. Right on K, a yellow flash appeared in front of Naruko and Minato appeared from the flash, making Naruko's eyes go wide at seeing the jutsu that made her father famous and feared. "2-san, please teach me how to do that. That was really cool," Naruko asked with stars in her eyes. "Why do you think I had you studying all those fuinjutsu books you got?" Minato replied with a smile. "Yada," Naruko said while jumping up and down. Minato quickly made multiply seals and placed them around the house, and within a few minutes he was finished placing all the seals. There, that will stop any and all chakra from escaping this room when activated. It will also stop people from seeing into the room, so remember to deactivate it when you are finished, Minato explained before holding a half-Tora seal and activating the seals. "You should know how to activate and deactivate them. I will be with Jiraiya. See you tomorrow, Naru-chan," Minato happily said. "Thank you, see you tomorrow 2-san," Naruko said while waving before Minato disappeared in a yellow flash. "Now that that's sorted, we can start your nighttime training. To access your demon chakra, you must concentrate and find it. Just like you did when you first accessed your normal chakra. Once you have found it, pull on it," Kurama explained, and not giving room for Naruko to complain or moan about wanting to sleep. Naruko sat down and crossed her legs before closing her eyes and concentrating on finding her demon chakra. It took Naruko a while before she finally found her demon chakra and felt a bit stupid for not looking where her normal chakra was, as her demon chakra was right next to it. Naruko started pulling on it and instantly felt the difference. Her demon chakra was more violent and she could feel the surge of power starting to flow through her body. Naruko could feel herself become stronger to the point that she could barely feel the effects of the gravity seal on her. Her senses also heightened while her claws and canines grow longer. Her hair and fur became wilder while her whisker birthmarks darkened and become more prominent. Naruko opened her eyes, revealing gold eyes instead of blue ones. Naruko looked into the mirror that was in front of her and saw that her hair and fur is a deeper gold color than what it used to be. "What has happened here is that you have now switched from using your normal chakra to using your demon chakra. You could say that this is your demon mode. To go back to normal, stop pulling on your demon chakra and pull on your human one instead," Kurama explained. Naruko concentrated and pulled on her human chakra. Naruko's eyes returned to their normal blue color while her hair returned to normal along with her claws, canines and whisker birthmarks. Naruko felt a lot of strength leave her body and her senses dulled. "Wow, that was quite the rush," Naruko commented, really feeling the difference now that she is using her human chakra again. "Yes, it is. That's why if you don't defeat your evil self, you will lose yourself in that rush and go on a rampage. If you ever run out of human chakra, you can switch to your demon chakra or switch to your human chakra should you run out of demon chakra," Kurama explained. "But I have yet to actually run out of chakra. The only time I came close was when Kakashi really pushed me while I got used to using my K's no Yoroi," Naruko said, and only remembering one time she came close to running out of chakra. "We will have to change that, won't we?" Kurama replied, making Naruko a bit nervous of what's to come. "For the next hour, continue to change between your human and demon chakra. You need to be able to change instantly and on the go," Kurama told Naruko, giving her task for the next hour. For the next hour, Naruko practiced changing between her two chakras. Now that she knew where her demon chakra was, it was easier, but she still had to focus to change between the two. By the end of the hour, Naruko had improved, but not as much as she was expecting and hoping. "That's enough for now, Kit. You need rest for tomorrow. Trust me, you are going to need all the rest you can get," Kurama said to Naruko, ending the training session. Naruko gulped, no doubt expecting a hard long day. Next day, training ground 15. Naruko made sure to be at the training ground just before the allocated time. She was a bit sore and stiff, not because of yesterday's fight and training. No, she had partly forgot that she weighs 1,875 kilograms thanks to the gravity that was on her. She only remembered that fact when she climbed onto her bed. She discovered that her bed wasn't made for such heavy weights. Her bed gave away and caved in on her, so she was forced to sleep on the floor as she no longer has a bed. Naruko saw both Jiraiya and her father walking towards her while taking to each other. Naruko waited patiently for them to arrive before she saw the moon behind them, remembering what will happen in about a week from now. It will be full moon soon. Sigh, this going to interesting, Naruko thought with a sigh. Good to see you are here early. At least you haven't picked up Kakashi's habit of being late, Jiraiya said, knowing about Kakashi's habit. Yeah, I still can't believe it. He was the one who was always early and scolding Obito on being late, Minato said with a chuckle. Kakashi early. Though he is only on time when he trains us, Naruko replied, quite surprised to hear that Kakashi used to be early and scold someone else for being late. She almost thought they were talking about someone completely different. Oh, I should tell you it's full moon next week sometime. Kakashi did tell you about that? Naruko said before wondering if Jiraiya knew about it. Yes, like I said, he told me everything, and I mean everything, including a certain Uchiha, Jiraiya said with a mischievous grin while planning to do some research as he calls it. Naruko blushed a bit, though it disappeared seeing Jiraiya's expression. I hope you not thinking of using us for your search, Jiraiya-sensei. Naruko asked sweetly with a smile just as sweet. Both Jiraiya and Minato shivered at Naruko's tone while they both had a few terrifying memories of a certain red head. Jiraiya nodded quickly while sweating slightly, knowing that Naruko will follow through with any threats she gives out. No. There is no way I would think of that, Jiraiya said with a nervous smile. Right now, on to your training schedule. First you will start off with doing 2 fitness sessions followed by chakra control exercises. Then you will come to me while a bunshin will go with your father. You will then end the day with another 2 fitness sessions, Jiraiya said, giving Naruko her schedule for her training regime. So hop to, start running and so on, Jiraiya said, making Naruko start right away. So Naruko started running to the village wall so she could start her regular fitness training of running around the village as fast as she can for as long as she can. After running, Naruko did 200 push-ups, sit-ups, handstand push-ups, pull-ups, punches and kicks with each arm and leg. She then did 200 one-handed push-ups and pull-ups on each hand. Naruko had to admit that the pull-ups a fair bit harder, having to pull up 1,875 kilograms on one arm. Though the hardest part was finding a tree branch that could take the weight. Naruko gave up and ended up making a bunshin which shape-shifted into a monkey bar. Naruko didn't want to waste time trying to find a strong enough branch, and she didn't want to go round breaking every single branch around her. When she was done, she started it all again. -4 hours later, Naruko made her way back after her dual fitness session, which took her 4 hours to complete, mostly due to her running until she drops. Naruko walked up to Jiraiya wondering something. Nay, Arrow Senin, can I still make a bunch of cage bunshins and have them do other things as well? Naruko asked, wanted to make a fire and lightning version of her chakra armor. I was just about to suggest that. So while you do chakra control exercises, you bunshins can do something else, Jiraiya said with a nod. Naruko smiled before making 2,000 bunshins, to which Jiraiya's jaw dropped in surprise. Jiraiya knew that Naruko could make an army of herself from what Kakashi has told him, but hearing and seeing her do it are 2 very different things. Line up, Naruko shouted out, to which all of her bunshins made 4 groups of 10 rows with 50 bunshins in each row. Is she preparing for war now? Jiraiya asked no one in particular while deadpanning at Naruko. Everyone on my left is group fire and everyone on my right is group lightning. Remember to create a bunshin before dispelling yourself every half hour. Spread out, you all know what to do, Naruko shouted, giving her bunshins orders. All of the Naruko bunchins spread out in different directions to do what they were told to do. Jiraiya just shook his head while sighing. Minato chuckled nervously while rubbing the back of his head. Naruko really takes after her mother, doesn't she? Minato said softly with a smile. Yay, she does, and she's just as scary as her mother, Jiraiya said before shivering, still not be able to forget a few rather painful and terrifying memories. Though this is cheating using her cage bunchins like this. It took us ages to get where we are, Jiraiya grumbled, finding it very unfair that Naruko will be able to thing that took him a few months or years to complete. I mean, have you ever heard of anyone mastering an element in a few months, let alone a genin mastering 3? Hell, not many jonins can use 3 or more elements. This just isn't fair, Jiraiya continued while tears poured out of his eyes near the end. Naruko walked up to the crying Jiraiya and her father, waiting for her next part of her training. What's wrong with Ero Sennin? Naruko asked with a sweat drop. Don't call me that. Anyway, you see the waterfall behind me? Jiraiya asked while using his thumb to point at the waterfall behind him. Yes, what about it? Naruko asked, seeing the rather tall waterfall. Naruko estimated it to be around 5 stories tall. You will use a combination of the tree climbing and water walking exercise to walk up the waterfall while pulling this, Jiraiya said before unsealing a large black rectangle box and a piece of rope. Jiraiya tied one end of the rope around the box before tying the other end around Naruko's waist. There you go, now get climbing, Jiraiya told Naruko with a smirk. Naruko started walking before coming to a halt, unable to move. Naruko looked behind her before using her hands to pull the rope. Naruko grunted, trying to pull the box, which didn't budge at all. She tried again, this time using her full body weight and strength to try and pull the box. Naruko caught the box to slowly shift closer to her before she stopped pulling and turning to face a grinning Jiraiya. What the hell is that thing? Better yet, what kind of rope is this? Naruko asked with a confused look on her face. That's just a box that weighs around 4,000 kilograms, and that is a special rope that was made with chakra and a few other things, Jiraiya answered, his grin never leaving his face. Gee, thanks, Naruko said plainly while her eye twitched a few times. Naruko sent chakra to her arms and legs to make it easier to pull the box. She slowly made her way to the waterfall while dragging the box behind her. When the box reached the water, it became a bit harder to pull the damn box. Naruko was happy that it was a shallow river, else she might be at the bottom of it. Naruko's next problem was that she now had to climb up the waterfall. She took a few slow steps up the waterfall, managing to stay attached to the waterfall. While noting that it was much harder walking up a waterfall compared to walking up a wall. Naruko took a few more steps to where she is at the point where she would have to start pulling the box. She grunted while slowly pulling up the heavy box as she took very slow steps up the waterfall. Naruko was walking up the waterfall backwards as she had to use her hands to help her hold and lift up the box. Naruko's steps were slow but steady while she slowly made her way up the waterfall. She saw that she was about 2 stories high off the ground before she looked behind her and saw that she still had another 3 stories to go. Jiraiya and Minato watched Naruko as she slowly made her way up and saw that she was nearly at the top. When you reach the top, you must walk back down the waterfall, Jiraiya shouted, to which Naruko grumbled at her mad sensei. The process was very slow, but Naruko made her way to the top. She stopped before taking a careful step down, noting that this is going to be much harder going down. Naruko made sure to make careful, steady steps as she didn't want to find out what would happen if she didn't. Eventually Naruko made it to the bottom, where she sat down in the water and took several deep breaths. Naruko was fairly out of breath when she reached the bottom. That took quite a bit out of me, not to mention the slight backlash from my bunchins dispelling didn't help, Naruko mumbled softly to herself while taking a small break to get her breath back. Well done, Naruko, that took you about an hour to do. You can rest for half an hour, then I want to go up and down the waterfall again. Jiraiya praised Naruko when he reached her before telling her what to do next. Naruko sighed before lying down on her back in the river, letting the water run past her, helping to cool her down. Naruko happily rested and relaxed while lying in the river and watching the clouds sail above her. Naruko quickly discovered why Shikamaru loved doing this all the time. Before she knew it, her half an hour was up, signaled by Jiraiya shouting at Naruko, telling her to get up and start climbing. Naruko sighed before getting back up and turning to face the waterfall. It took Naruko another hour and bit to walk up and down the waterfall. It took Naruko a bit longer this time because it was a bit harder than the first time. When Naruko got to the bottom, she walked to where Jiraiya and her father were while dragging the box behind her. Naruko untied the rope that was around her waist before looking up at Jiraiya, waiting her next instruction. "Aro senin what's nay," Naruko started saying before falling forwards, feeling all of her strength and power leave her. Naruko barely felt Jiraiya catching her or heard him call her name before everything went dark and quiet. Sometime later, Naruko groaned while slowly opening her eyes and stretching her body, making her back arch a bit. Naruko opened her eyes full and took note of her surroundings and saw that she was in her room. Naruko wondered how she got her, then she remembered she was about to ask Jiraiya's what's next before she passed out. Naruko tried to sit up but felt something heavy on her stomach. Naruko looked down and saw Sakura sitting on a chair slouched over, resting her head on Naruko's stomach. Naruko smiled gently while gently running her hand through Sakura's hair. Naruko noticed that her bed is in one piece and wondered if it was fixed or if it was a completely new bed. Sakura stirred, feeling something gently caressing her hair before she raised her head and turned it to face Naruko. "Naruko, you alright? I was worried a bit there," Sakura said suddenly and completely awake. "Hey Sakura-chan, yeah, I'm fine thanks. Though what happened?" Naruko asked with a smile. "I'm not sure. Jiraiya-sama said you suddenly passed out during training. I arrived shortly after you passed out, hoping to have a lunch break with you," Sakura replied after she let out a sigh of relief. "Sorry about that, Sakura-chan. How long was I out for?" Naruko asked while sitting up. "You have been out just under 2 days. We were getting worried, but then I remember the last time this happened, which calmed us down somewhat," Sakura answered. "I see. Damn, I hoped I didn't disturb you training like I did mine," Naruko replied, a little sad. "Hey, don't worry about it. It's only 2 days, besides there is still a month till the main event," Sakura said, shaking her head. "Yeah, I know. I just want to make good use of this time," Naruko said while turning and placing her feet on the floor. "I know you do, and so do I," Sakura responded with a smile while Naruko stood up. Naruko noticed she was only wearing a light orange, partly see-through gown that just passed to the middle of her thighs. Naruko now wondered how on earth she got into these clothes before remembering who is currently training her. "Sakura-chan, how did I get into these clothes?" Naruko asked, hoping for the best. "Oh, I changed you into them, seeing that the clothes you were in were completely soaked. And you were quite dirty and sweaty, so I gave you a bath," Sakura answered. "Oh, thank you. I was a little worried that Aro Senin was behind this," Naruko replied with a sigh of relief. "Aro Senin?" Sakura asked, a bit confused. "Yay, it's what I call Jiraiya-sensei. Don't be fooled by his acts, he is a pervert and he openly admits it," Naruko said while looking at Sakura. "You know you should give him more respect. He is a famous, well-known ninja and without a doubt the strongest in Konoha," Sakura half scolded Naruko. "She's right, you know. You should respect your elders," Jiraiya said, standing just outside Naruko's door, to which Naruko responded by sticking her tongue out at Jiraiya. "Get changed and meet me in the living room," Jiraiya said before walking off. Sakura got up and walked out the room, heading towards the living room. Naruko changed into a red baggy shirt and long black slightly baggy pants before heading to the living room. Naruko walked into the living room and headed to the kitchen to get something to eat. Anyone want anything? Naruko asked while taking out a few ingredients from the fridge. No, but thanks for the offer, Jiraiya replied while shaking his head. Thanks Naru, but I already had something, Sakura responded with a smile. Fine, suit yourself. More for me then, Naruko said before turning around and making herself something. Sakura started counting Naruko's tails, wanting to confirm her suspicions. Hey Naruko, you have a sixth tail now, Sakura said after counting Naruko's tails. Naruko stopped what she was doing and looked behind her. Oh look, seems I do, Naruko replied happily while holding her new tail. Jiraiya and Sakura sweat dropped, wondering how Naruko didn't notice that she had a new tail. Naruko walked with her bowl of food and sat down next to Sakura before taking a bite and looking at Jiraiya, wondering what he has to say. So according to what you have told Kakashi, when you get a new tail your strength, chakra and senses increase and that you get an additional perk with that tail. Do you know what perk you get with this tail and by how much your strength, chakra and senses have increased by? Jiraiya asked, wanting to learn more about this Hanyou tail business. No, I don't know what I got with this tail other than I can talk in my fox form now. As for the increase in my abilities, I'd say it doubled them. Well, that's what happened the last few times I got a new tail, Naruko answered after thinking for a few seconds. I see. We can step your training up a few notches, Jiraiya replied with a grin, making Naruko gulp. I shall see you tomorrow, same time, same place, Jiraiya said while getting up and walking to the door. Wait, why can't we train now? Naruko asked, wanting to start training right away and running after Jiraiya. Because it's getting late. The sun set about an hour ago, just so you know, Jiraiya responded before walking out the door and closing it. And there he goes, Naruko sighed while walking back to sit next to Sakura. Naruko sat back down and brought her feet up and turned her body to face Sakura while hugging her knees. Sakura turned her body to face Naruko while crossing her legs. Thanks Sakura for looking after me like that, Naruko thanked sincerely. No need, it's the least I can do. You've always been there for me, so I wanted to return the favor, Sakura replied while leaning forward a bit and placing her hands on Naruko's knees. Naruko smiled gently in return before placing her hands on top of Sakura's hands. So who did Kakashi get to train you? Naruko asked with a slightly playful tone. He first got someone by the name of Ebisu to train me, Sakura answered, not sure what to think of the guy. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but Anko, the second exam protractor, is now training me. That lady is crazy, Sakura continued while shivering at the end at the thought of Anko.